Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, 2 people are dead after a plane crash in western Kentucky. And not enough evidence, but pressing forward. More on why House Republicans are launching an impeachment inquiry into President Biden as Democrats push back.
Plus, we are trending drier and warmer for this weekend. Your full forecast coming up as Mountain News at 5:30 starts now.
Dedicated to southern and eastern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 5:30.
Good evening, I'm Steve Hensley. We're going to begin with some breaking news just coming in out of Letcher County tonight. There's been a shooting in the Line Fork community, and we're told by state police that 1 person is dead. That shooting happened just before 4 o'clock this afternoon. Troopers are still at the scene. The incident remains under investigation. That's about all we know at this point. We will update you as we learn more about this deadly shooting out of the Line Fork area of Letcher County. We also continue to follow developments in western Kentucky after a plane crashed, resulting in the deaths of 2 young people. Our sister stations in Bowling Green and Evansville, Indiana, are reporting the Ohio County coroner says the pilot, 22-year-old Timothy A. McKellar Jr., and an 18-year-old flight student, Connor W. Quisenberry, were killed in the crash. Owensboro at Davis County Central Dispatch received a report around 11 last night of a possible airplane crash in Ohio County. The 2 were en route to Owensboro from Bowling Green. Trooper Corey King explained in a news conference if last night's storm might have been a factor in the crash.
We did have some pretty substantial storms last night. We cannot confirm whether the storm played a vital role in the crash. However, we can conclude at this point that likely that was the reasoning for the plane going down.
King added a crash of this magnitude will require further investigative work, so Kentucky State Police will continue investigating that incident.
We are still tracking some spotty rain chances across the mountains into your Thursday evening. Here's a live look at First Alert Pinpoint Doppler. For most of us, we are dry right now, but we are zooming into some light showers near the I-64 corridor. Places in Rowan County, also stretching into Elliott County. A few spotty sprinkles here, and more light to moderate showers in portions of Menifee County, also into Powell and Estill County, stretching into Wolfe County as well, not too far away from Campton. Watching out for a few light showers there. This is all thanks to an upper level low that is sitting close to Cincinnati, and this will continue to spark a few more showers as we go into tonight, also the first half of your Friday, but we are tracking some drier, also warmer weather later on this week. Those temperatures right now in the lower to middle 70s for most of us, 72 in Pikeville, also 72 for Clintwood, 74 in Manchester, up to 73 for Somerset, also Monticello at this hour, but some above average temperatures on the way as early as tomorrow, and back to the 80s by this weekend, and some middle 80s by early next week. All those details coming up in just a few minutes. Steve?
Cameron, thank you. House Republicans held their first hearing as part of an impeachment inquiry into President Joe Biden. The hearing predictably was a highly partisan affair, with Republicans attacking the president and Democrats defending him. CBS's Skylar Henry has more from Capitol Hill.
The House Oversight Committee held its first hearing into whether President Joe Biden should face impeachment charges. But for the GOP chairman, it's not much of a question.
The House Oversight Committee will examine over 24 pieces of evidence revealing Joe Biden's corruption and abuse of public office.
Republicans allege the Biden family received millions of dollars in foreign money through Hunter Biden's business dealings. And when the Department of Justice began investigating, President Biden tried to protect his son.
Hunter Biden cashed in by arranging access to Joe Biden, the family brand.
Whether President Biden directly benefited from his son Hunter's business dealings sparked contentious debate during Thursday's hearing.
The committee has received 12,000 pages of bank records. Here they are, right in front of us, printed double-sided, and not a single page shows a dime going to President Joe Biden.
The courts actually have rejected that. They've said that money going to family members is in fact a benefit.
The principle of American law is that people are responsible for their own conduct and not the conduct of their adult children. Is that right?
That's correct.
Thank you.
The committee intends to subpoena Hunter Biden and the president's personal and business bank records as early as this week. Skyler Henry, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Democrats also used their time to highlight that Republicans were holding this hearing as Congress faces a budget deadline with a looming government shutdown. 7 2024 presidential hopefuls from the GOP were on the debate stage for the second time last night. Republican strategist and CBS News political analyst Leslie Sanchez was asked about the debate that took place in California. She says while there was no clear winner, she thought former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley might have moved the needle the most.
She cleared two big hurdles. She looks very and sounds very competent, and she has the credibility. And for female candidates, particularly, those two C's are really tough areas to cross when people start challenging them on a national platform. So I think in that sense, she gained points.
The next Republican presidential debate is set to take place on November 8th in Miami. After skipping that debate, former President Donald Trump says he is taking the side of union workers in their strike against the big three automakers. During a stop in Michigan yesterday, Trump said a transition to producing more electric vehicles will result in fewer jobs for auto workers, a point the UAW agrees with. Trump visited Detroit one day after President Biden when the president joined striking auto workers.
Yesterday, Joe Biden came to Michigan to pose for photos at the picket line. But it's his policies that send Michigan auto workers to the unemployment line. I side with the auto workers of America and with those who want to make America great again, and I always will.
President Biden's campaign has rolled out a new ad criticizing Trump's treatment of auto workers. It is the first ad to directly attack the former president. Time is running out for lawmakers in Washington to come to an agreement to avert a government shutdown. Funding expires on Sunday, and right now there is no plan in place to prevent that. The White House is calling on House Republicans to back the Senate's bipartisan stopgap bill that would temporarily keep the government running with a continuing resolution. But some members of the House GOP are not showing signs of compromise.
The folks in my district want somebody who's just going to come here and vote for continuing resolutions and omnibus bills. They've had other choices in other elections, but they chose to send me, and I'm here to fight.
There have been 20 gaps in federal funding since 1976. Most of them occurred under a divided government where a single party is not in control of the White House, House, and Senate. President Biden is set to honor his longtime friend, the late Senator John McCain, in McCain's home state of Arizona. The president will announce funding from the American Rescue Plan to construct the McCain Library in partnership with the McCain Institute and Arizona State University. The library will be a multi-purpose facility to provide education, work, and health monitoring programs to underserved communities in the state. Sources say Republican election denier and failed Arizona gubernatorial candidate Kari Lake will launch her U.S. Senate campaign on October 10th. That would further scramble a contest for the seat held by Senator Kyrsten Sinema. Sinema switched from Democrat to Independent in December, and Congressman Ruben Gallego entered the Democratic primary in January. Lake, who lost the 2022 race for Arizona governor, has closely aligned herself with former President Trump. U.S. Army Private Travis King is now back on U.S. soil. King, who was recently set free by North Korea, landed at Joint Base San Antonio, Fort Sam Houston this morning. According to the Defense Department, U.S. military officials say King, quote, willfully and without authorization crossed the military demarcation line into North Korea in July. King is expected to be moved to a medical center in San Antonio. Coming up on Mountain News at 5:30, $887,000. That's what school districts paid on average to get back data stolen in ransomware attacks last year. What schools and parents can be doing to protect student information.
And drier weather is on the way for high school football. Those details coming up after this break.